non-duality discussion on the ending of suffering. I don't know if you've ever heard about that, but we here in the south of Vietnam are concerned, really, actually, not just joking about it, but concerned with the ending of suffering. This seems like it must be a common belief or a common value system for everyone, right? I mean, nobody wants to suffer. But maybe a lot of us as human beings, a lot of the human people don't have maybe much experience or teaching or support or help for seeing suffering as something that can actually be ended. Not only that, but exploring and looking very deeply, looking very closely into what suffering is, because everyone's suffering, surely more than they can imagine, more than they would like to. But they may not have spent much time to look at that suffering, and to not look at suffering is to miss out on life as it actually is. But also we can do a great disservice to others when we don't look at our own suffering. So we might be having the best time of our lives personally, but in terms of how we're impacting the world, not just in the way that it seems that we're impacting the world, not just in the way that we can tell stories about how we're impacting the world, but life is very subtle. The smallest interactions between people and between the environments, the water and the soils and the rocks, over long periods of time have all these different impacts that we're more or less aware of. And so when we don't look at our suffering, when we don't look at the suffering nature of life, we might be having a lot of negative impacts that we're not aware of. Because if you think about it, what's the cause of all the problems and the troubles of the world? Well, it's greed. We're very greedy, or we're frustrated, we're angry, and then we have delusions, or we have thoughts that run rampant and lead us into all these different pathways that kind of connect and correlate with our greed or our anger, our frustration. So this is what I'm practicing in my own life here in the south of Vietnam. I'm stepping into this place of really being willing to face the situation of reality as it is, and to open up this space where we can all communicate with each other, and where we can kind of drop that reactionariness that is so common, constantly reacting to stimuli, but actually to step back and kind of be aware, step into a framework of awareness. So it looks like we have some comments and questions coming in, and that's wonderful. Like I said, I'm here in the south of Vietnam in my it's not really my anything. I just happen to be here. Okay, so it looks like we have some comments and questions, and that's wonderful. But this is another problem that we encounter in life: is we're in a hurry. We're in a rush to ask a question. We're in a rush to leave a comment. We're in a rush to give an answer, and we make a lot of mistakes when we act in that way. So here, nothing but time, or no time. Wide open space, clear sky, beautiful water. There's no need to rush and no need to jump into things. I see so much online and in person as well. We just don't look deeply at things, and we've kind of lost. We've given up our credence. We've given up our capacity to stop and look deeply. We're always in a constant state of reactivity. constant state of taking things at the surface level. This is not in America. We're not in America here. Thank Buddha. With the music, though, I could imagine that we would be in the keys. So the keys for context here, and I hope everybody can hear me all right. It's a little bit windy out here. But the keys for context here, Buddhism is a key for context. Non-duality is a key for context. Spirituality is a key for context, a very vague and general key, but an important one. 5D, reiki, Illuminati, New World Order, conspiracy, ultimate truth, underground, peacefulness movement. This really is an underground peacefulness movement. And here we're trying. I'm trying as a body and as a mind to look and enjoy the clouds in the sky. And there is a love here. There is a love here, but it's a real love. It's not a love of being infatuated. It's not a love based on pleasure or desire. Maybe you could say a love based on appreciation and acceptance. That's non-contractual, non-transactional. I know I'm using a lot of buzzwords here, but I'm just getting started here today. And it's exciting, isn't it? A little ASMR for everybody. Let's get some W's in the chat for this Vietnamese ASMR. See, is this one different over here? Oh, very nice, huh? This is an inclusive space. This is a hardcore Buddhism space and place. We're hardcore here. We go all the way as much as we can, bring it to the end, but it's inclusive to all of the softness of life. The ASMR of life. But it doesn't mean we just let things go off the rails. Can you hear the music in the background as well? Ooh. The matter of Zen. I forgot Zen is a buzzword. I've got a 1-month Zen meditation training program as well on my docket, but I think I'm going to stay here in Vietnam. Let's get some W's in the chat, everybody. Let's get some likes in the chat, some W's. Click the share button. Share this video if your grandma is still awake. Share this video with your grandma in Arizona. Share it with your friends. Tell them you're following the Buddhist path now, or you're curious about it. You share this video with your friends and you say, I've started to become curious about not just the clouds that appear in the sky of my mind, but also the clarity of the blueness. And I've found that even among the changing white clouds in the clear blue sky, there is a clarity in the whiteness of the clouds that is unchanging, reliable, and essential. And I wanted to share this video with you because I also want to talk about these things with you, and maybe this would be a good place to start. How do we start to let go of those hurts, of those pains of the past? Well, the traditional old answer from Grandpa, let it go. This is your life, and you have to choose what you feed, what you nourish, what you give your energy to. And we're usually, well, there's two issues, there's two problems here, not to get into the math of it. But one problem is that as we're growing up and in our lives now, we're not really having interactions like this. Everybody's trying to entertain us, everybody's trying to stimulate us, everybody's trying to, promote some kind of program, some kind of class. I mean, surely for me, this whole diatribe must be to, set up my business marketing scheme and get you guys to buy some skin lotion from, because I'm an alien from Zepton 9, and I was sent here to sell skin lotion to the people of, the world, because we need money, right? But we don't need money. And in the same way, we don't need to allow our hurts and our pains to define us. But the problem is we're not established in living a meaningful life. We've lost our questioning capacity. We've lost our ability to just sit and question, what is this life actually all about? What do I really want to do? What's really important to me? And instead, we're just in this constant stream of consumption. I mean, we wake up and we start consuming. The problem here is that our definition of waking up is when we wake up in the morning. And here, in this live stream, Rob and these clouds and this blue sky and this red hat is in fact here to say, well, why does waking up only have to be in the morning? Why can't we wake up continuously, moment by moment? Where did that go? So I'm not just here to give you a good time, but also here to hit you on the head, hit you with my stick, hit you with my big stick. But we don't just go waving that around anywhere. You've got to make some investment if you want to get hit with a stick. And anyway, you're going to get hit with the stick of life. I know that you're suffering, and I'm here for you. And I'm not here to add to your suffering, but to remind you that the story that you have about your life is not as important as life itself. And if the only thing we can define ourselves by, if the only way that we can see ourselves is through this lens, this distorted lens of the story, the thought-based story, the word-based story that we tell ourselves about the people around us and the thoughts that we have, and just this continuous non-stop story, well, then we're kind of locked into a cage of non-stop thinking, because there's many elements of the story as we're walking around, maybe we feel a little bit shy, we feel a little bit anxious, and we fully identify with those words and phrases. That's who we are. So we constantly have to keep thinking. We constantly have to keep building up these blocks of thoughts about, who we are, who we're supposed to be, just to forget about what we thought about before. But the teaching here is that you don't have to forget about anything, because forgetting about everything is actually remembering the everything that is already. Remembering life itself, remembering who you truly are in the here and now. You can't say it's nothing. Saying it's nothing is just another word, just another thing to call it. That's just as valid as saying it's all a potato. So we're here to work on this together. This is the work. I mean, you look at this. Come over here and look at this with me. Now, what kind of story is this? What kind of movie is this? Is this the beginning? Is this the middle? Is this the end? And of course it's none of that. This is not the beginning, this is not the middle, this is not the end, this is not a part of a story. And this is our real life. Right here and now. No story, just is. And that is a tool that we apply. It's not just something we believe in. It's not just something we identify with as a Buddhist or as a meditator. But we actually apply that in the never endless, never beginning and never ending here and now of life as it is. We've become a society that doesn't respect children. We've become a people that sees them as possessions or as toys, a part of our story. Children are beyond a story. Those babies, those little ones, they are the teachers. They are the leaders. They are the guides. And then we look towards, I don't know if I have a big Zionist or Jewish Israeli following, but when we look to what's happening in Israel, Palestine, when we look there, when we bring that into our lives, you have to really question, what kind of society are we? What kind of country are we? What kind of culture do we have that allows and enables and sustains this cognitive dissonance as it relates to the death of children? Any children, not just in Israel, Palestine, but any children anywhere. What are we doing as adults, or what are we doing as people with money and skills and physical health and mental health, if we just see the children and we say, well, that's life, or we can put those things to the side? A broken culture, a broken system, a broken society. Namo Kanzeon Bosal. Namo Guanyin Pusa. Namo Kwanteon Bota. We give so much importance to ourselves, this idea that we have of ourselves. But really, what are we talking about? I remember when I first, and I'll just go to say, there's so many people who are doing these, to blow up my own balloon with helium or whatever is in there. Put some nitrous in there, I don't mind. There's so many people that are teaching non-duality or teaching spirituality or teaching enlightenment or teaching Kundalini, and actually the the reiki healers and the kundalini spiritual people, they've got some wiggle room, because they're not really talking about the nature of things. They're just doing some kind of techniques or practices to make you feel better about yourself, right? But a lot of these people they don't have really experience. They haven't gone through self-sacrifice, they haven't trained, they haven't went and been a monk, they haven't attended meditation retreats, they haven't followed highly practiced people on this path. And yet they somehow just get the answers because they think of themselves as enlightened. Thinking of yourself as enlightened is about as realistic as thinking of yourself as a tree. So a lot of these enlightenment spiritualist teachers are just, they've got their heads up their own rear ends. And they think because they got used to the smell there that's the way that things are. So just something to be aware of, it's something to point out. And if it's not true for that teacher, that person, well, great. But if it is true, then we have to look at that. Because we grow through our experiences, not just through what we think about. What we think about is kind of what we need to let go of, and our experiences are what we need to make use of. And so if you don't have much experience on the path, you don't have much experience in terms of giving your life to this practice in the here and now, mostly applies to right now, then shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Share the floor. Now, what I was saying about, having this strong image of ourselves, and then we say, well, that's the most important thing. The idea and the thoughts that I have about myself as a human being, as an agent, as an identity are most important. We see the lens, we see the world through that lens, through that looking glass of self-identification. And then, well, what is a tree? What is a plant? What is a child? It's a possession. It's a toy. It's something that's lesser than what I identify myself with. And what do I identify myself with? Well, my power, my ability to control, my ability to feel pleasure and avoid pain. So what? You're just like a big fat monkey? And so that you think that makes you the king of the world? Or that makes you the most important thing in the world? We can't disregard nature, and we can't disregard our own nature. So what is our own nature? Well, if you don't care about that question, get the heck out of here. You're in the wrong place. And then this rambling here, this never-ending rambling, what do we do with that? Well, we detach from that. We begin anew. We consider what we're interested in, what we're serious about. So for me, regardless of my rambling or my past thoughts, I'm serious about the path of ending suffering, of being free, of being totally, completely free. And let me break it to you, because this is the trap that we consistently fall into. That high-rise apartment in Vietnam with a nice TV and computer and office and all these different kinds of things that you want, whatever that high-rise apartment is for you in your own life, that's not going to give you freedom. It's just going to empower the same habit systems that have already been in place that have been keeping you from realizing freedom. So yeah, you might get that, or you might go towards that direction. I'm not telling people to not seek after what they think is valuable in life. But the teaching of the Buddha is that pleasure is never going to end suffering, that avoiding pain is never going to end suffering, that you getting what you want is already what you experience all the time. You just think if it would be a bigger version of you getting what you want, that somehow that would solve all your problems. Well, it hasn't solved the world's problems. How many millionaires and billionaires are there in the world? And yet, Israel-Palestine continues to happen, and yet poverty and environmental destruction continues to happen everywhere. So you getting what you want is not the answer. Now, right now, you getting what you want is not the answer. So stopping the energy or stepping back from the compulsion to get what you want allows you to be aware enough to actually question, what is it that I really want? What is it that I really need? What is it that I'm really going through? But you can't stop long enough to ask that question deeply. And if you can look and see that that stopping and looking actually has the answer within it, then you're free. Then you don't have to seek anymore. You don't have to idealize anymore. You don't have to be in this constant stream of complicated thinking all the time and think that that's somehow going to help you figure out your life. This thinking process is not natural. We weren't born with thinking. Children don't think. And how happy are they? How joyous are they, right? Think about that. Or don't think about that, just listen to it and digest it. Children don't think. And how are children acting all the time? Free, happy, beautiful, peaceful, fresh, joyful, flexible, contemplative, compassionate, open to learning, constant state of learning. So this compulsive thinking that we're identifying with is actually keeping us from the freedom that we're looking for, the peace that we're looking for. So try it. Try to practice it with me. I don't know if this is helping people to give access to that sense or that state, but give it a try to not think. When I look over here, maybe I'm thinking about what next to say, right? But looking over here at the clouds, can you not think? No, because you is just thinking. You is just an idea of a particular phenomena, of particular sensations or experiences. Let go of thinking, let go of you. And you experience that. You experience that now. Not even you, but just experience now. That's a relief. That's a freedom. That's fixing depression. That's fixing anxiety. That's fixing schizophrenia. It's fixing whatever you have to fix. Easily. But that wish to stop thinking at certain times is just more thoughts about things. So this is not about particular times. This isn't about a particular situation or experience. This isn't about a particular person going through something particularly. This is about freedom here and now. In life, the way that it is already. Where else are you going to be free? Where else can you be free? Where else can you see? Where else can you hear? That's why we don't have a connection to our deeper mind, the beautifulness of the mind, the possibility, the creativity, the contemplativeness of the mind. Why? Because we're not thinking correctly. We're thinking based in the past, in the future, not in the present. Like my friend, come to join me here. Sit across from me. I don't know who he is, but he just come to sit here. You know, we think, oh my God, that person smoking cigarette. Oh my God, that person, he put up his phone on my tripod. He's filming me now. Oh my gosh, what's happening? We're in the south of Vietnam. We don't speak the same language. I'm older. They're younger. They're older. I'm younger. What does this person want from me? What do I want from this person? we completely lose our connection with just being with life. And I know we want to engage, we want to build, we want to develop, we want to establish. That's fine, but it has to happen according to nature. It can't happen according to our quick decisions, our impulsiveness, our lust, our anger, our greed, our fear. So we decouple from the machine of fear, decouple from the machine of greed. And once you get, this idealized version of becoming a multi-level marketer or investing in the stock market, now you're constantly coupling yourself. You're constantly attaching yourself. You're constantly building out this infrastructure of greed in your life. And now, how do you get to access this? How do you get to come home to your true nature? How do you get to come home to true reality? How do you get to be a child again? How do you get to be free from thinking? Let go of compulsory thinking. That's right. And we were trained. We need to understand this. We were trained to practice compulsory thinking. We were raised to be in a state of constant, complicated, word-based thinking that was in a very narrow framework of how we were going to live our lives. It's not right, Or it's not right or wrong, it's just that's not the way that I want to live. And for me, I haven't had a job for like 8 years. 7, 8 years I haven't worked. I haven't sold my time and my mind and my body for money. I don't do this to make money. So, okay, here's where the marketing scheme comes up, right? You've got to stand on the mountain of your own life, where you are. There's no congratulations. It's not about congratulations. It's about realizing that your life and your freedom isn't about rent. It's not about money. It's not about anything or anyone. This is probably what people like. I should focus more on this. I haven't worked for 8 years, and look at me sitting by the blue clouds and the white sky. Well, look, it's through generosity or it's through detachment. It's through my capacity and willingness to realize that this is without possession. Nobody owns this body. Nobody owns this mind. Nobody owns this environment now. Someone might come along and say, hey, you need to get out of here. This is my property. Well, then I get up and go for a walk. And that's where your freedom is, not in the contractual agreements that you make with society and the world. Now, how far do you want to take this? That's up to you. But you have to become an investor. You have to become a practitioner. You have to become someone who's willing to not be anyone. There you go. Your rent's paid. Free rent, free body, free mind, free sky, free white clouds. Because the problem isn't really about making money. If you're in the West, or if you're in America, or if you're a man, a white man, or something, or you're healthy, you have a healthy body, a healthy mind, you can go and make money and pay rent, but that's not going to solve your problem. And then even if you have a bunch of money and you don't have to think about paying rent, you're still going to be thinking about money all the time because your rent is paid by your attachment to money, rather than paying your rent now with no attachment. There's no free handouts in life. You have to give to get. So if you give up everything now, you can get everything. But people aren't willing to give very much. They're not willing to practice generosity of body and mind. So their complaints or their argument about, no, I actually have to pay my rent, what are you talking about? It's just based in greed. It's just based in desire and attachment and frustration. It's not what this is about. I've even thought, because I used to run, a big Discord server, and I even thought about at times, giving away money. Giving away, we did it. We had a program where people would offer services and people would offer even like crystals and things like that. Nobody ever used it because it's not actually about our need. It's about our desire. If we start to look, if we start to stop the compulsive greed mindset, and we start to look at what we actually need, we will find immediately that we have everything that we need. And once you realize in an instant that you have everything that you need, now you've got all the energy you want. And how are you probably going to use that? Get back to your money-based lifestyle. Because that's the culture that we're in. So there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just that if we aren't willing to step back from the story of our lives, we're not going to realize the freedom that we already have access to. And then we can determine, how invested do I want to get in this path, right? Do I want to take this guy to be a mentor or a leader for me, or a teacher for me, or a friend on the path for me that I'm going to listen to, or something like that? Well, you can make that determination. But until you step back long enough to be free, you can't make any choices. It's just compulsive activity of greediness, of frustration, of delusions. What does Thich Nhat Hanh say? Thich Nhat Hanh says, what does he say? Is the wind getting too much? Is this getting windy? The microphone? Thich Nhat Hanh says, I have arrived, taking it easy, taking it slow, no more worries, no need to hurry, nothing to carry. Here, let me know if this helps with the wind, because I don't have the windscreen on this one. Maybe this will help with the wind a little bit. Let me put this inside also. Get a little wind cover there. What happened to me? You have to stop thinking about what happened to you and stop thinking about what happened to someone else and start being. Being aware enough to actually get a real experience of what's going on right now, mind to mind. What I'm talking about is not what I'm talking about. The words and phrases that I seem to be using are not the point of this live stream or my life or your life. It's getting caught in the confusion of the clouds instead of seeing the clear blue sky behind it. Can you see the clear blue sky behind the clouds? Can you put W's in the chat? Can you leave a like? Can you share this with your uncle in Tucson? And say, hey, this is what I'm interested in now, Uncle Tom. Let's have a discussion about this. Let's talk about this. Let's look deeply at this. Some people want a red Ferrari. Some people want a blue Lamborghini. Some people want sunglasses made of onyx and gold. This is for people who want peace. And you shouldn't even want that. because it is already. How can you want what is already? It's like we want the storm to change, we want the clouds to go away, but the clear blue sky is already there. You just don't have the vision, the insight, the wisdom to see through those clouds. And so you're trying to put all the clouds into a box, and you're wondering why it's always overflowing and you can't control it. Because the clouds were never really there to begin with. Just an appearance. And some people are talking about, and it's a really big topic. I mean, when you think about how we usually determine communities as people who do like the same kind of things, right? And I look towards Buddhist community. So I look towards, how many people are coming together and practicing meditation, following the precepts, listening to the Dharma, etc. And so a massive community around the world, a massive community in America, is people who end their own lives every day. And so for this community, what I have to say is that if you're willing to harm the body in this way, to try to end suffering, why don't you try to abandon your life? Why don't you try to give up all the things that you've been doing up to now? Why don't you try to listen to someone instead of trying to control someone? And that someone appears to be you. So to just listen to that suffering. And if you can't listen to your own suffering, find someone to help you listen to that suffering. But you have to be willing to listen. What are these things that are causing suffering in your life? Is it your job? Is it your housing situation? Is it the way that you think? So why are you so fixated on holding on to all these things? What if you just let them go? What if you let go of the importance that you gave to the way that you think about things, and you let someone else think for you? Or not think for you, for example. It's difficult, even for me. I've been on this Buddhist and spiritual path for more than 10 years, more than a decade, almost half my life. It's still difficult for me as well to sometimes listen to a Dharma talk. I've really been enjoying Ajahn Sumedho recently. I don't know if anyone here knows Ajahn Sumedho, but the teaching and the guidance here is, who cares about that guy talking in your mind, saying weird things, having weird thoughts? I don't care about that guy. I'll listen to Ajahn Sumedho. Or I'll listen to me being myself here and now. That's not about the story that I have of my life. Yo. When we're so stuck in being afraid of ourselves that we can't step outside of ourselves, that's when life really gets bad, when life really gets difficult. Don't be so afraid of yourself that you can't step outside of yourself. Don't listen to the little gremlin in the mind that says, this isn't perfect, this isn't right, I can't go there, I have to do this, I have to be this kind of person. Go outside of yourself. For me, that's oftentimes just coming to a coffee shop. Oh, I'm coping, I should be meditating at the bottom of the ocean, because that's the best way to do it. There's no best way for anything. Human life is an emotional experience. We have to learn how to move beyond those emotions, how to transform those emotions, how to go outside of ourselves. It's really a gift. Thousand more. So how's everybody doing? Everybody okay? Any new important sharings of experiences on the path? Any questions? And really, thank you so much for being here. Oh, I really like it. You know, I remember when I was 18, 19, and my life was falling apart because, you know, high school ended and I didn't have really an infrastructure of support or engagement. So I was deep into depression. I even took some SSRIs at one point because the depression was just so bad. And I was using Craigslist a lot, you know, kind of exploring different ways to connect with people and different opportunities. And I remember I would make a post about like community, intentional spiritual community. It's so funny because, I mean, I was exceedingly immature. Oh, thank you so much, Rose. It's very appreciated, your generosity and kindness. And really, you know, when we think about it, these acts of generosity, it's not just, we're not buying something, we're not paying for something. So it's an expression of our heart. It's an expression of our consideration. It's an expression of our involvement, right? It's an expression that we take this seriously. You know, there's no charge for any of this. Someone reached out to me recently, which people usually don't do, because I think I can be a little bit intense one-on-one about, you know, have a Zoom call or whatever, and you know, spiritual coaching session. And I told them, you know, you basically, whatever you can get from me, you can probably get from these live sessions. But of course, I'm always open to talk with people. So there's nothing for sale here. And but it is an opportunity to be generous. It is an opportunity for you to share your experiences, to share what's valuable to you, for you to express yourself, not just to me, but to the community. Anyway, so I was like posting on Craigslist about, you know, building like traveling spiritual community and walking on foot around in the US, and, you know, very idealized. And, you know, I had a lot of people reach out to me, and, you know, so now I have so much gratitude that I'm able to just come here to this place where I feel safe, where I feel warm, where I feel like there's possibility in my life to continue, and we can be here together. and we can be on the spiritual path together. And I'm really, my body at times has just been overflowing with gemstones, with rubies and sapphires and emeralds and things. And what that means is that I've got a lot of resources to share. So I'm here to support, but I can only help you as much as you're willing to try. That's the most important thing, is willingness to try. Downtown, walking fast, holding fast in the hole now. Do 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 do. Run away, laying away through the town. Do 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 do. And now I wonder. I could fall into the sky. You think time would pass me by? Oh, and I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just hear you. Okay, we have some comments here. Very good. Blueberry madness, and blueberries are great. Sometimes they're kind of mushy though. It's so simple, but our minds get clouded. Thanks for the reminder. You're welcome. Thank you for the reminder. Ever's doing well. Okay, Lamana de Lama has a question. What do I do to stop being so angry at everything and everyone? The Buddha gave a story. He talked like this. When you hold on to your anger with the idea or the intention to, that anger is because of someone else or towards someone else, that involvement with someone else, it's just like someone picking up a hot coal and holding it with the intention to throw it at someone else. So you have to stop thinking about all these other people and look at and feel the hot coal that you're holding in your own hand. Now that's a high teaching, that's a high bar, but it's something that you can practice now. And it's something that you can practice when you feel that anger. To say, hey anger, I see you. Hey tension in the body, I see you. I'm here for you. We have to reconnect with that space in our own minds, that emptiness, that void, that blackness when we close our eyes. We have to connect with that. Connect with that and be aware of what you're experiencing very specifically, because you learn through that experience. You learn from that. The anger, the fire, the heat is teaching you. Teaching you what? Don't hold on to this. Don't fixate on this. Don't allow your life to be about this. And you learn not by finding a thinking methodology about it, though sometimes that can help, but actually by experiencing that very closely, being willing to hold that and to feel that and to see that as it is. Be careful about music, everybody. If you're listening to music all the time, there can be a lot of side effect for that. Okay? Can't be listening to Avril Lavigne every other day. Once a week limit. All my students, all the people who join in these live streams, only once a week listening to Avril Lavigne. Okay? It can be very dangerous to stimulate our complicated thoughts and our emotions in that way, unnecessarily. The biggest problem is when we do things unnecessarily. That's when we develop the compulsion to eat, the compulsion to sleep, the compulsion to be angry. Because now it's not even necessary for us to be angry or to fuel that anger, but we choose to do so because You know, we don't have anything else to do. Go for a walk. Do something, but not that. We're in the south of Vietnam, friends. So in the world, interacting with it, as Shelley has said, this is an opportunity to do that. It's just your degree of presence and being here. You give yourself to life, then you're in life, okay? And then interacting with it is how you sustain that inness. Buddhist chanting is okay. Anything that's Buddhist adjacent, music or chanting, you can listen to that. You can listen to it all the time. I tell you, if I had if I was, had like a home or something, it would be great if just play like Buddhist chanting or play Dharma talks in the background all the time and purify that space and keep you collected, keep you focused. Because you're going to be less likely to be scrolling on TikTok if there's a Dharma talk going on in the background, or if there's, Plum Village chanting, Buddhist songs going on in the background. And then, if you say, oh my gosh, I'm starting to get annoyed by this stream of things coming in, well, you turn it off and you get to appreciate the silence. And it's much better to be turning off. See, a lot of people don't think about this. It's better to be turning off a Dharma talk than turning off, your constant stream of watching TikTok videos or listening to Avril Lavigne as you dance around the room. It sounds romantic, but romanticism can also be intertwined with delusion and an underlying frustration that you're trying to get rid of. And of course, romanticism is all about greed, right? The more romantic, the better. So we have to put these stopgaps in basically every element of our lives, to stop and be aware. And that especially helps you from making compulsive reactionary actions. And then you can watch your reactions rather than being controlled by them. Okay, good question, big question. So Blueberry Madness says, how do we deal with a person who has harmed us and harms others? Most of the time, just mind your own business. Most of the time, it's not your business. And you making that your business is actually keeping you from effectual engagement in the world. So making an upvote or a downvote on Reddit isn't making a difference. Leaving a comment, oh, how stupid Trump is, or how stupid this new tax program is, or da-da-da-da. You're not doing anything. You're just making noise, right? You're saturating the market of thinking with more noise, with more nonsense. You have to step back. To actually change the world, you have to step back from the world. If you want to float, you have to step back from swimming. You can't swim and float at the same time. You should try to be so busy in your life of doing good, of helping others, of being mindful, of not being attached, of purifying your own body and mind, that the idea of extended involvement in criticizing others or commenting on others or building up this narrative in yourself of being a savior aren't able to be fed because you're too busy to feed that kind of stuff. You're planting grapefruit trees, Now, if it's something that is our business, all the more reason where we need to be grounded, stabilized, simplified, so that we can take effective action. Sustained effective action is the best path. And, what better action than forgiveness and protection? So you offer forgiveness and you offer protection to everyone, the person who's harming, the person who's been harmed, and yourself, as best you can. But usually that requires us to step back, to be more deeply present and aware with ourselves so that we can be present in the world, that our energy, our presence has a weight to it, has a depth to it that goes out beyond our own thinking about ourselves. That's how life works, you know? It's not just how you go and move swords around, but it's how your heart beats. It's how your spirit is, so to speak. Your energy can become very profound and deep, and it offers a protection towards others. Okay, great question. Oh, it's okay, Ashton. I mean, as far as I know, I'm a practitioner on the path, and this is concerned with, the ending of suffering, and I've been doing a lot of work with that. So, and we don't have an interpersonal relationship, Ashton. We have a Adamic relationship. So it's okay. You can do like that. The benefits of fasting is that you'll see how out of control your desire is, and you'll work to regulate your mind a bit. I have no idea when I'm visiting the US. I don't know. Honestly, I stay most of the time in this place of not knowing, and right now a big part of my practice right now is my own exploration of going with the flow, so to speak, going with the flow with mindfulness and detachment, and sensing into how I can live a dharmic life not as a monk, not needing that extra layer of context, but to still watch over my mind and watch when negative emotions get out of control or unregulated and bringing them back. Watching how the mind is and just going with normal life. And normal life means the life that all of us are already living, not the story elements of our life. How to find right livelihood job. It's all about your mentality, right livelihood job. So whatever job that you're doing, incorporate mindfulness and detachment, incorporate generosity into your job. That's it. As long as you're not selling poison or killing animals and doing something unsavory, then you can bring right livelihood to your job. Okay, so let's stop. Let's recharge. Let's get a little bit of meditation under our belts here. So you just find the position that you're already in, maybe a little bit to get more comfortable. Close the eyes. Let the body settle in. Start to relax any places in the body where there's tension. Start to notice the sounds. Notice the smells. Notice what you see, which I kind of see a big black screen, kind of with like a red hue. Notice the movements of your body. Kind of come into a center. Perhaps the center of your breathing. Relax the face. Let the body really come to a rest. And then bring the mind home to this resting body. Feel the mind as the body. So it's very simple and direct, very experiential. Ooh. Notice how easy we are to get distracted, and then instead of getting involved or identified with that easiness to get distracted, notice how easy it is to come back to the resting and relaxed body, the mind as the body. Feeling the breathing and enjoying the feeling of breathing. Feeling the mind as the body. Let that be a mind of kindness and openness to what's happening, to what's being experienced. Whatever you notice, come back to the breathing. Let the mind collect and become kind of dense with spaciousness. Concentrated with openness and kindness and gentleness. No involvement with thinking, just the mind as the body, breathing with kindness, with gentleness. Relaxed, but very aware. Very aware without expectation or longing. The awareness is a kind of awareness of already having what is longed for, what is wished for, what is searched for. Whatever pulls the mind towards it, just return. Return to the breathing, aware experience. This time we may hone in our concentration, our concentrated, kind, and gentle awareness at the tip of our nose, the place where the air flows in through our nostrils. Really feel those sensations closely. And forgive yourself. Forgive everyone that has made up parts of yourself, together with those sensations of breathing at the tip of the nose. Feel the lightness and the freshness of forgiveness. Really go into that lightness and freshness with your whole heart, whole body, whole mind. Feel the heart beating and offer it kindness, gentleness, and attention. And sink and dwell in that relaxed, concentrated awareness. Okay, we can open our eyes if they're closed. We can return to the live stream. How'd it go? Let's get some W's in the chat, everybody. And we're practicing mindfulness with detachment. So that means that whatever we are aware of, we don't attach to that. We don't get stuck on that. Instead, those attachment points that stand out or get a hold of us or engage us, we notice that as the stepping backing point. Stepping back to open awareness. And to the enjoyment of life as it actually is, not the way that we think about it, not trying to get something from life, not trying to make a judgment about what someone says or who someone is, not even trying to understand what we're seeing, not trying to understand what we're hearing, not trying to understand what we're feeling internally, but actually taking up the bull's rush position of W's in the chat without complicated thinking, without reactionary diatribes. All right, let's go into some Wu Men. This might be a little bit, that's right, this is not about understanding anything. You know, that's why I love this format, the live stream and discovery. So we have the very fresh, I see Ryan, you very fresh. Young people coming in and, you know, they have the quality to be a little bit naughty, but actually, I got you right where I want you, bud. So let's listen in. A woman, and some of these words we don't understand, but like Ryan said, this is not about not understanding anything. No, this is not about, it's both, not, it's, yes. All right, let's go to women. Somebody that I used to know. Okay. Wu Men says, the implicit transmission on spiritual mountain, so talking about like that transmission of enlightenment, what did the enlightened teachers teach? What were they trying to teach? The implicit transmission on spiritual mountain was yellow leaves to stop crying. The personal communication on few houses was looking at plums to quench thirst, and so on. Deshan's staff, Linji's shout, Zhu Feng rolling balls, Dao Wu brandishing a bamboo scepter, Bi Ma raising a forked stick, He Shan beating a drum, Qing Yuan letting down a leg, Tian Long holding up a finger. All these are idle furniture for amusing monkeys. We have any monkeys here, Ryan? When you get here, none of them can be put to use. And so this is talking about all of the Zen teaching tools. So maybe someone would come up to the Zen monk on the mountain and they'd say, hey, you know, what did the Buddha really teach? And then they'd put up one finger. Or raise a forked stick, or ring the bell. So Wu Men saying, all these are idle furniture for amusing monkeys. When you get here, none of them can be put to use. Even so, things can't be one-sided. I cannot but go along with precedent and open up a shop of honey locust and ginger. You come and want to buy ginseng, aconite, sweet grass, or rhubarb root. I certainly have no arsenic or castor beans. The lamp wick giving off light is adjusted as appropriate. I also have a furnace-hot iron pill. In case there are any who are coarse of mind and audacious, I give them a pill of making their whole body decompose so they can neither live nor die. Elsewhere, they are dissolved they dissolve sticking points and untie bonds for people, pulling out nails and stakes. I just add nails and drive stakes for people, loading a raft and sending you out to sea, making you find your own way to live. Only then can you be a successor. So this is saying that some of these enlightened teachers, their practices are to pull out the stick that you got caught in your throat, to answer your question and to kind of release your attachment. But for some teachers like Wu Men, the teaching he gives is actually to drive attachments, to drive stakes into you, to drive nails into you, to push you to go out to sea and make a way to find your own way in life. And only then can you be a successor. Only then can you really get the point. Here, I don't give people cases spoiling the sons and daughters of other families. If it's an ordinary meeting, everyone in the world are brothers and sisters. If you come into my room, I take you for enemy assassins and protect myself. If I don't make the first move, I'll be killed by you. And this is kind of talking about the nature of duality in guest and host. Right? So while Wu Men may be enlightened and free from duality, you are not. So you, as someone approaching him, is putting him into this position of duality. So he has to cut your head off right at the bat, right off the bat. A monk asked Joshu if dogs have Buddha nature or not. Joshu said no. Very many bring this up, and not a few keep it in mind. This one word no is brought up alone. Those who have attained enlightenment by getting into this one word no are as numerous as raindrops, while those who do not completely trust waste their time. This is very important to understand. We have to have complete trust, complete faith, complete devotion. It's just like when you go to your job, right? Listen to this. If you go to your job and you don't trust that you're going to be paid, are you going to work? So when I, as someone who's an online spiritual teacher, spiritual coach, Reiki master, Reiki master Rob, and I say, you people should have faith in this path, in the teachings, in being here, that you can get out of the suffering, you can get the enlightenment. People say, oh my God, this guy's a cult leader, right? A trickster. But would you ever even show up for your job if you didn't trust that you would make money? So in being here, you have to trust that this is conducive and along the path to freedom from suffering. Otherwise, why are you here? You're in the wrong place. Chan study has no special art, but just requires rousing a massive doubt through one's whole being, day and night. Don't let it be interrupted, and eventually it ripens completely, so inside and outside naturally become one, and you become one with space, become one with mountains, rivers, and the whole earth. Become one with the four quarters and the zenith and nadir. So what is this massive doubt? Well, this massive doubt can, in a passive state, it can be a kind of not knowing. So not being fixated on this position of you knowing things, you understanding things. So just don't know. Zen master Sung San, who was a great Korean Zen master who brought the Buddhism to America for Western people, he said, only don't know. That was his primary teaching. Only don't know. And in a more active way, we can practice a huatou or a questioning. It means we question everything. But we question everything not by specifically talking about all these different things. We question everything by the great question. What is this? And we rouse that doubt, we rouse that wonder, we rouse that curiosity to this point where it's like a red hot iron ball that explodes. And so too does our entire self-notion and self-identity explode, and we become one with everything. And that nature of not knowing is really the path of spirituality. I don't know. I don't know what happened in the past. I don't know what will happen in the future. I don't know what's happening right now. How much can you access that not knowing? Just right now. I don't know what's happening. And how long can you abide in that? How long can you be in that? What is the depth of that not knowing? Quick question for Lama de Lama Lama. Practice generosity. Go out there to your local Buddhist temple, make a donation, bring them some fruit. Find a homeless shelter, find an animal shelter, knock on their door, call them up and say, hey, I'm a volunteer. What can I do? Go and sweep at the Buddhist temple, go and volunteer, practice self-sacrifice. That's how you start. Do that seriously and stay tuned or stay connected with me here and what I'm doing. You'll know more about Buddhism than most people very, very quickly, very, very soon. Haven't you read the sayings that the whole earth is the student's self? The whole earth is a door of liberation. The whole earth is one eye of an ascetic. The whole earth, when you pick it up in your fingers, is like a grain of sand. The mind contains cosmic space. Its extent includes the universe. Space is born in great awareness like a bubble emerging in the ocean. The continents of the east, west, north, and south, upward all the way to the heaven of neither perception nor non-perception, downward all the way to the sphere of air and the border of water, don't take a single cough to encompass. If you can see here, there is no triple world to leave, no nirvana to realize. The sentient and inanimate alike achieve true awakening. Hells and heavens are all pure lands. Wisdom and ignorance are both insight. Discipline, concentration, and insight, as well as desire, anger, and ignorance, are all pure conduct. Quietude and commotion, leisure and busyness are in the same groove everywhere. All along you eat without taking a bite, dress without wearing a stitch. All along you talk without ever opening your mouth, go about all day without ever lifting a foot. Nowadays, you shouldn't take the chief elders of recent times for examples. Observe Baizhang, Huangbo, Linji, and Deishan, themselves outstanding spirits impressing others. Haven't you read how when Linji was in Huangbo's assembly, the head monk, went backwards, of the forward hall, the Honorable Veteran Chen, urged him to ask for help from the abbot. 3 times he asked the precise overall meaning of Buddhism, and 3 times he was severely beaten. Can you imagine this? So this monk is this Huangbo. Well, Linji was in this Master Huangbo's temple, and Linji, this young monk, trying to get the enlightenment, right? So he was in the temple, and the head monk of the temple, who wasn't the abbot, wasn't the leader of the temple, but was the head monk, the Honorable Veteran Chen, he urged him to ask for help from the abbot. So the head monk, like the manager of the building, not the owner of the building, which is the abbot, Huangbo, the manager of the building, this young monk who's staying there, says, go and ask help from the abbot. Go and ask the great teacher to help you. 3 times he went to the abbot and he asked, what is the precise overall meaning of Buddhism? Okay? And 3 times, the owner of the house, the head of the temple, beat him severely. So you can imagine these 2 monks sit down in a kind of bamboo hut, bamboo hall, and the young monk says to the master, you know, what is the precise overall meaning of Buddhism? And how did the master answer him? He beat him. he picked up his staff and he hit him until he ran away. Okay? Now finally, this young monk, Linji, he took leave of Huangbo on the grounds that his affinity wasn't there, and asked the master to indicate whom he should see. So Linji's faith, this young monk's faith, was so strong that even after being beaten just because he sincerely asked that question of the master, he was beaten. His faith is so strong, he says, my affinity isn't here. Not that the master is evil or bad or doesn't know the Dharma or anything like that. Just my affinity isn't here. My connection isn't here. I'm not able to learn what you're teaching. So I will go on, right? And so he asked the master, who should he go and see? Who should he go and study with? Huangbo directed him to go see Da Yu. These are very famous Zen masters of ancient China. As soon as he saw him, Da Yu asked this young monk Linji, where did he come from? Linji said he came from Huangbo. Da Yu asked him what Huangbo had said. Linji cited the foregoing story and said he didn't know where his fault lay. So the young monk Linji went to this other master that Huangbo, who was beating him, recommended. And he went there and he told the story of what happened. And Da Yu said, Huangbo was so kind. He did his utmost for you. Linji said, after all, there's not much to Huangbo's Buddhism. Da Yu grabbed him and said, this bedwetting devil, you just asked whether you were at fault or not, and now you say there's not much to it? Ultimately, how much is there? Linji punched Da Yu in the rib 3 times. Da Yu said, your teacher is Huangbo. It's none of my business. Linji then returned to Huangbo. Huangbo said, what end is there to comings and goings? Linji said, it's just because of kindness. Huangbo said, Da Yu talks too much, because Da Yu let out the secret, right? Da Yu let the young monk Linji know that he was being kind to you. He was trying to give you the direct meaning, which is not in words and phrases, not in conceptual thought. And so now Linji realized that his teacher was very kind and loving and generous. So Huangbo said, Da Yu talks too much. When he comes, I'll give him a beating. Linji said, right now it won't do to let it go, and slapped Huangbo. Huangbo said, this madman dares to come here and grab the tiger's whiskers. Laughing, he called to an attendant, take this madman into the meditation hall. And you need to know that this isn't taken lightly. This isn't something that was kind of done as a way of entertainment or as a way of being flowery. This was an expression of life and death. This was an expression of seeing through the truth. Huangbo dared to die. Master Huangbo, even a sword could not end his life, could not pierce him. He's invulnerable. And actually, you can see that these Zen masters, they were very, very heavy and serious and intense in China. And so, they kind of got their own end of the stick eventually because Mao Zedong and his Cultural Revolution were quite strict with Chinese Buddhism, which is a shame. But anyway, so why did Huangbo just tell him to go see Da Yu? Because when Da Yu had been in the congregation of Guizong for many years, one day he took leave of Guizong. Guizong asked him where he was going. Da Yu said he was going all over to study 5-flavor Chan. So there's 5 traditional schools of Chan Buddhism in China. So then Guizong said, here I just have 1 flavor Chan. Da Yu asked, what is your 1 flavor Chan? Guizong thereupon hit him. As Da Yu was about to open his mouth, Guizong hit him again, whereupon Da Yu had an insight. Right? So he sent his teacher along for a reason. He sent his student Linji, Huangbo sent his student Linji along to Dai for a reason, because Dai had also gone through this. So Dai could inform and share that experience. Mind to mind, not telling stories. Later, Huangbo said, Mazu's congregation produced 84 teachers. When questioned, every one of them spewed a bunch of crap. Only Guizhang amounted to anything. What was the meaning of Huangbo directing Linji to see Dai? Haven't you heard it said that if you want to know the mountain road, you need to ask someone who's traversed it? It was because Dai was awakened at the impact of Guizhang's cane. But now brethren often make judgmental interpretations. We descendants of Linji use beating and shouting for Buddhist services, use the 3 poisons of ignorance to serve for compassion, taking you brethren into a void as born enemies. Be you Buddhas or patriarchs, ordinary people or saints, we will necessarily turn your faces around and switch your eyeballs. We'd rather be wrapped in hot iron and have molten copper poured down our throats than ever equate Buddhism with people's sentiments. Haven't you heard it said, even if the oceans are transmuted, I'll never convey it to you. Yanto said, spurning things is superior, following things is inferior. Here there is no way of concession. How could people be randomly approved? In the olden times, the master of Yushan in Cheiling used to meditate on the saying about how to take a step forward atop a 100-foot pole. So this is a traditional kind of teaching or idea of what does it mean to become enlightened, or what does it mean to move forward on the enlightened path. And the teaching is that it's like taking a step forward from a 100-foot pole. Standing on a little pole like this one, 100 feet in the sky, and taking the step forward from that. One day, this monk who used to meditate on this saying was riding a mule over a bridge, and just as he was bringing the saying to mind, the mule slipped, and he got insight. He composed a verse saying, I have a bright pearl, long locked up in material toils. Today the dust is gone, and its glow emerges, shining throughout mountains and rivers everywhere. Okay, we'll end here today. All right, thank you all for being here. What a gift it is. Thank you to the blue sky and the clouds. Thank you to Rose for your donation. I wish you all wealth, health, happiness, and peace on the path. May whatever merits or blessings that we have cultivated, goodness in our hearts or peace in our lives that we've brought about from our time here being concerned with Buddhism, meditation, spirituality, non-duality, etc. Or just may those merits and blessings be offered and shared out towards all beings throughout space and time. I'm your friendly host, Rob, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now. have a bright pearl, long locked up in material toils. Today the dust is gone, and its glow emerges, shining throughout mountains and rivers everywhere. Subsequently, he sent his follower Duan to Master Yang Qi, Feng Wei, to see if he actually had Chan or not, and if he actually had an entry into enlightenment or not. Duan went to see Yang Qi. After exchanging greetings, Yang Qi asked Duan where he'd come from. Che Ling, he replied. Who is your teacher? The master of Yushan. Yang Qi said, I hear your master had a verse on enlightenment. Is this so? Duan then recited the preceding verse. Yang Qi laughed out loud and went back to his room. Duan didn't understand what he meant. The next day he went again and asked, Yesterday you asked me about the story of my teacher's entry into the way. Did he have enlightenment or not? Please be so kind as to tell me, as I really wonder about this. Yang Qi said, Have you ever seen an entertainer? Duan said he had. Yang Qi said, They just want people to laugh. You fear people laughing. Duan was greatly enlightened at this. See how that expert had methods of killing and giving life. With one laugh, he could arouse another's doubt, and with one statement, he could break up that sense of doubt. Without those methods of killing and enlivening, how could one in a position of authority help people? Seeing people stand atop the highest mountain, one pushes them to the bottom of a 10,000 fathom cliff. Seeing people in a 10,000 fathom deep canyon, one must raise them to the top of the highest mountain. Only thus does one have a way to help people. In the case of Master Kaishan Kuan, he and the Master of Zuan Hermitage were both in the congregation of Master Dahui. The latter just concentrated on the word no for 40 days and awakened. Dahui asked him to become the librarian. While he was contemplating the saying, he got soaked by rain standing by a railing. He didn't even notice people telling him he was getting soaked in the rain, and paid no attention when someone pulled him away. You need to do the work like this. You won't fail to get results. Thank you, Miss M. Bye, everybody.